are having the ribbon, please rise and stand together. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome those of you that are here, those of you that are joining us via live stream. By way of introduction, my name is David. I am not a clergy, just a friend of the family. Got to spend some time at the lake house, so that was fun. We formally want to extend our condolences to Elizabeth, to Wendy, Vince, Craig, Jessica, David, Cindy, Daniel, Jodi, Julie, Steve, Robin, Ken, Susan, Rian, Darrell, and then the host of grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and Gail. Is Gail here? Oh, and Gail, still want to offer condolences. We begin the service, if everyone would kindly open the service folder to words from the High Holiday Liturgy. We can read together, birth is a beginning and death a destination. But life is a journey, a going, a growing from stage to stage, from childhood to maturity and youth to age, from innocence to awareness and ignorance to knowing, from foolishness to discretion and then perhaps to wisdom, from weakness to strength or strength to weakness and often back again. From health to sickness and back we pray to health again, from offense to forgiveness, from loneliness to love, from joy to gratitude, from pain to compassion, from grief to understanding, from fear to faith. From defeat to defeat to defeat until looking backward or ahead, we see that victory lies not at some high place along the way, but in having made the journey stage by stage, a sacred pilgrimage. Birth is a beginning and death a destination. But life is a journey, a sacred pilgrimage made stage by stage, from birth to death to life everlasting. We read from Ecclesiastes, for everything there is a season, a time for every experience under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot what is planted, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to cry and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to throw stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep, a time to discard, a time to tear, a time to sow, a time to keep silent, and a time to speak. It's at this time I invite the family members who want to share their stories about Jerry to come forward.
So, how do you measure a person's success in life? Do you look at their business and financial accomplishments? Do you look at their athletic feats? You certainly have to ask yourself if the person was a good family person. Did they have a lot of friends? Well, I think you can tell by looking around here that Jerry was not only a success at all of these, he mastered them. In business, he was determined, he was smart, he was fair, and he was creative. His hard work and dedication literally created thousands of jobs. Because of what he did, hundreds of families were able to send their kids to college or buy a home. what he created was truly remarkable. When you look at him, you wouldn't exactly think he was an athlete, but as an athlete, he was just plain impressive. Whether he was skiing in Beaver Creek, playing hours of tennis, or kayaking around Lake Benedict, he could exhaust people half his age. He always exhausted us. We'd go on trips for business, and we'd work all day, all night, get to the hotel, everybody's ready for bed, and Jerry's like, we going out for another drink? He just had stamina. And for being his true measure of success was he was an outstanding life partner, husband, father, sibling, grandfather, great-grandfather. Also being a trusted tennis or poker partner. Jerry was the best. He was Papa Chair. He was dependable, loving, fun, and serious. He was serious in a good way. He was serious about having fun, serious about loving people, serious about having a great life. He really lived. Not only have I had the good fortune of having Jerry as a second father, but I was also lucky enough to work side by side with him for 35 years. I can't imagine having a better boss, collaborator, and wingman. Jerry challenged me, he encouraged me, he supported me, and as my siblings would know, he questioned me. And he asked a lot of questions. In every stage of my life, Jerry was there. And I can honestly say I've been lucky, maybe unfairly so, to have two of the greatest fathers a person could ask for. Some of you might know George Washington had a stepson named Jackie Custis. Jackie Custis died at a young age, but he was able to leave a beautiful letter for his stepfather that I think there's a line from that's appropriate. Few have experienced such care and attention from real parents as I have done. He best deserves the name Father, who acts the part as one. Thank you.
Dan, how did you get my email? Everything I wrote down. What Dan said, I wrote down just about half, but yesterday we lost one of the great ones. Ever since I could remember, I know him. From living on Church Street in townhouses to Davis Street to Lake Street, putting in a blended family. I mean, he took the five of us on his honeymoon. Who does that? We already knew each other. You know, it's not like we were strangers. The man, as all know, he's generous without a fault. He helped out everybody that came his way. He helped softball leagues, people go to school. Our days at the farm, he helped out friends that wanted to do snowmobile racing, 4-H projects and everything. He, just as the years go by, Dan said he's only 30 years. I got 42 years working side by side with Jer, and everyone was more exciting different than the rest. I mean, the day we got into the bus business, we looked at our arch rival and said, we're going to be bigger than him. And within years, we're working with him side by side as one of our sales reps. So, I mean, that's how Jer was. He was better than a puppy. He was a magnet. And you could tell he's picked up some great chicks in his lifetime. The memories he's put in on us, from nippersing to on the farm, fishing trips, ski trips, vacation trips, beach trips. It just was amazing that he included all of us, and at different times, every one of us went on trips with him. If we're together separately, he was that kind of loving guy. I mean, and then Craig came in the business. So having 3 sons in the business, there's days I thought Jared needed to come in with a referee's jersey on us, because especially at the beginning when the 3 of us were together. But he worked with us, and we prevailed, as you could see. We were different things. You know, I won't say it's been rough. And through the years, I've seen a lot of stuff. And I just want to say to my little brother, Craig, the apple didn't fall far from the tree. I am so proud of you and amazed how you've grown up from the days of Danny and I teasing you and what you are today. I'm in awe of you. Not that I don't love any my other brothers and sisters less, but I just have to say, Craig is a small clone of Jer, and for Jer, I know he did his last water ski trip, his last snow run, and his last horseback ride. And I just hope he finds peace riding into the sunset. Thank you.
Please forgive me, as I'm not a natural speaker like those two. Okay, and I'm going to read from this. Today I want to honor my dad, a truly remarkable person I was always proud to call my father. I could always count on his wise advice, whether I was navigating challenges in my small business or supporting a friend in need. Introducing him to my friends and my tennis tribe at Rustic Canyon was a joy, and Jerry seamlessly became part of our group. He partied with us. He played with us all the time. I mean, when he comes to California and visits me, it's like 3 times a week, 2 hours at a time, with people half his age. Dad had a unique gift for bringing us together as a family. I'm so appreciative of how he took these 2 families and brought them together, because I'm so proud to have David, Danny, Julie, and, Craig, of course, is my, Craig and I, David, Danny, and Julie, and he mashed us together, and that was not easy in the beginning. I cherish the bond I have with everybody now, and I cherish the bond I have with Elizabeth. And Elizabeth, I loved the way he loved Elizabeth, and I loved the way Elizabeth loved my dad. And through all the phases that my dad went through, the city phase with Elizabeth, like walking down the street and everybody, like, you can't walk a block without Elizabeth, somebody saying, "Hi, Elizabeth." And my dad was so proud. It's like, we can't even walk anywhere, but he loved it. He loved how everybody, Elizabeth knows, like all of Chicago. It was heartwarming to see him thrive in this new chapter. I will carry my dad with me always, a guiding presence, as I find my own way of life. He taught me to be fearless in pursuing my passions, like when he decided to become a ranch owner. I don't think he knew anything about it. And and created the Freedman 3-inch steak ranch. His endless energy shone through as he taught the grandkids to water ski and enjoyed endless summers at Nippersink. He never got tired of trying to teach all the kids how to ski. As hard as it was to get up for your first time, he would just do it over and over and over again. And if you didn't want to do that, he'd put you on a tire and take you in circles around the lake. No matter the occasion, whether minor or major, also my dad was there because I live in California. So at the drop of the hat, he would be there. He would be at my side through all my son Jake and all of his surgeries, and by my side when Milo started college in New York. He made the trip with Elizabeth to help him settle in. One particular memory stands out. My college friend Tracy was visiting me in Chicago during the summer for a wedding. And in the chaos of preparing, she was a bridesmaid, and while she was preparing, she was ironing her taffeta dress, bridesmaid dress, and she accidentally scorched it, leaving a big iron mark in the middle and the center. She was going crazy because she was supposed to be at the church. Well, Jerry just runs out with his needle and thread, and he sews the thing together. And within minutes to spare, she was, taken out of her panic. And my dad was, to the rescue and rushing her to the church. Dad had a quiet smile that was infectious and a wealth of knowledge in his head that I admired. He was like an encyclopedia to me, with or without his phone. I loved our dinners together with Elizabeth, where I could ask him anything, knowing he had the answers. I cherished every conversation. I will miss all the moments we shared, our tennis matches, those dinners, and all of our family trips and the countless activities that filled our lives. Though he may be gone, his spirit will be around me all the time, and I'm going to talk to him every day.
I'll try to do this. I hope this is the last time I have to do this. It's difficult, and I've learned a lot the last few months about my dad, a little bit about myself. But as a child, today I still think of myself as the young kid, and always tuning out my parents and tuning out my dad. So, one of the things that struck me the most throughout this whole thing, a word that sums it up, is my dad's kindness. He was, that's just one word that comes to mind that I realized in the last few months, these short months that I have left with him. I could only aspire to be as kind as he was. A month or so ago, we're at a restaurant. He had just finished his first round of chemo. He wasn't in the greatest of shape, and one of the servers came up to him and just started hugging and weeping to him. And at that moment, I realized that how loved he was by everyone. At the valet downstairs a few weeks ago, the valet started hugging him. And when my dad was out of earshot, I asked the valet, I said, what is that? What was that all about? And he says, nobody has been as kind to me as your father. He goes, I see everybody here, but nobody in this building is genuine like your dad. And then there's Jay, the doorman, who some of you might have already been introduced to him, because if you read the guest book that's online, he's the first one that wrote something about my dad. And I won't repeat what he said, but just read it. It's the first one. You can't miss it. Just do that, and you'll get a sense of who my dad is if you don't already know. But I think you already know, but maybe I didn't always know that. As I was driving down here today, I found myself thinking about some business question that I was going to ask my dad. And then I realized that I can't really do that. And it was strange to realize that he wasn't going to be there to answer my question. I didn't always value his counsel. It took me many years of working with him and many arguments to understand that he had a remarkable depth of insight and experience. When I was younger, fresh out of business school, I thought I knew everything. I thought I could do it all. But over time, I began to understand his value, and it changed our relationship for the better. I learned from him. I learned a lot, and he wasn't just smart, he was wise. He always had a unique way of approaching life, even when it came to approaching his identity in the end. I don't think he would have wanted this type of ceremony, but he wasn't big for grand gestures. I don't know what religion meant to him. I don't think it really did do anything for him, but it's interesting that he started to think about it, I think, in the end, because in the hospital, he said to me out of nowhere, and he wasn't completely there, but I think he was thinking what was on his mind at that time. He said, being Jewish is hard. And even in his final days, he was wrestling with that. And I like to bring a little levity to things. You know, one of my last moments with him when he could speak, I asked him, do you know who I am? And he looked at me and said, I don't know who you are, but I know what you are. And I was like, oh no, like, what is he going to say? Like you're like some asshole or something. But he said something that I'm going to think about forever and I'll never forget. He could have called me anything, but instead he said, you're a Jewish dentist. So if anyone understands that, let me know. There was no one who embodied the love of living more than my dad. You heard it from my siblings. He wanted, make no mistake, he wanted to live. He said to me when this all started, I love my life, and he didn't want it to change. And why wouldn't he? He had an incredible partner in Elizabeth, a big family who loved him, friends who cherished his company, and activities like tennis and skiing that brought him joy. He made the most of every moment, but he also knew when it was time to let go. He knew that life, the way he loved it, was changing, and he accepted that with grace. He never complained once through this process, not once. And I'm going to end. In the very beginning of this struggle, he said to me, Craig, I need you. You're going to stick with me, right? I need you. I'm scared. And in that moment, I realized that even someone as strong as my dad could feel vulnerable. He needed me then, and I was there for him. And I need him now more than ever. And I'll always carry those words with me and him with me. I miss you more than those words can say. I love you, Dad. Thank you for everything.
The beautiful words from the family. Just take a moment to look at the view that we're having here. I have to say to Daniel and Craig, no one's going to show up. Tomorrow, it's too soon. Here we are on Erev Shabbat, Erev Yom Kippur. Tonight, people will flock to the synagogues, and tomorrow, asking for forgiveness and hopefully trying to find a better year. If there's one legacy that I think we can all walk away from, And if you think about the world that we live in today, this one doesn't talk to this one. This country doesn't like this country. I don't like your people. You don't like my people. Your bus seat is too hard. Yours is comfortable. But the legacy that Jerry left is he blended the families together. You are truly one family. And if I could sign a contract to die the way he died, in his bed, with his family around him, with the love around him, I'd take that in a minute. And I think that as we move forward, the legacy of this gentleman, besides the accolades that he has and all those things, that he made it work. He made a family work. And when a gentleman, when a doorman feels that love, the same intensity that probably all of you did every day that you had encounters with him, good for him, because we all need to do that. That's a great example for all of us. You said, Craig, struggle, Jews struggle. The word Israel actually means struggle with God. Yisrael means struggle with God. That's what the definition is. We're a struggling people. Who doesn't struggle? You open up the Bible, the first thing is Cain's killing Abel, or no, really it's Adam and Eve. They got their issues. Then you got Cain and Abel, and it just gets worse and worse. A lot of rain, and then slavery. We put it all out there. But we're still here. We're still here. And we're still a community that cares about humanity and hopefully our family and the world that we live in. In a moment, I'm going to say the memorial prayer. Then we'll say Kaddish. We'll rise when we say the Kaddish. El Malay Rachamim Shofein Bamromim, Passionate God, eternal spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest beneath the sheltering presence to Gerald Freedman, who has gone into eternity. Let him find refuge in the presence of your shadow. Let him be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is his inheritance. May he rest in peace. We say Amen. The word Kaddish just means sanctity or holiness. Tonight, theoretically, one would say Kiddush, but it's Erev Yom Kippur, so there's no Kiddush. When you go to the synagogue, Aron HaKodesh, the holy container, where we do at a funeral home, it's covered Kedusha. Again, Kodesh, say marriage. It's called Kiddushin. It's all about sacredness. The Kaddish was written in Aramaic, the common language of the Jews, and it speaks only adjectives about God. They added the last line, they added it in Hebrew, the holy language of our people, and it speaks only of peace. Shalom means peace, hello, goodbye. But the root word is shalem. The root word is completeness. Ladies and gentlemen, this man lived. In English, we say life is L-I-F-E, and the two middle letters are if. In Hebrew, it's Chaim, Chet Yud Yud Mem Sofit, and the two middle letters are God's name. And believe in God, not God, it's all irrelevant. But it's sacred. And he lived a sacred life. I ask you to rise as we recite the mourner's Kaddish together. Yitgadal v'yikadash shemei rabah, v'yalmad divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechonu v'yomechonu v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, v'agalau v'tzman kariv v'imromei. Yehei shmei rabah mevorach, le'olam lo me'el maya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yinaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudushav b'richu, le'ela u'le'ela min kol birchata v'shurata, Tushbechata v'nechamata, amiran v'alma v'imramein, Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, Chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imramein, Oseh shalom v'imroma, Hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imramein. And we say to Jerry's family, Hamakom yinachem etchem b'tok she'arav le'tzion v'Yerushalayim. You should be comforted with all the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem, your community, bus company, seating company, whomever your community is, as we all say, Amen. Memorial contributions in his memory to the American Cancer Society or the Jane Addams Resource Corporation would be appreciated. That information is on the service folder. For those of you who are online, that information is on the funeral home's website. At this time, I ask everyone just to please remain standing as we escort the family of Gerald Freedman to the other room. Let them just get them situated, and then everyone can join them. I wish for you all a Shabbat Shalom, an easy holiday, and safety in all of our community.